You're tuning into the O&P Check-in, an SPS podcast. I'm Brendan Erickson, a regional sales manager at SPS. This show brings you the latest happenings in the O&P industry. We're unpacking trends and news from this tight-knit orthotics and prosthetics community. Co-hosting with me today is SPS Sales Account Manager of the Florida and Puerto Rico region, and my good friend, Stephen Hunter. And if you know him, he does go by his last name, Hunter. Welcome, Hunter.
Hey, man. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, man. Let's get started. Bundle any 2 Willowwood liners and receive $200 off the Fiberglass MetaShock X or $50 off the Fiberglass MetaCore. Stock up on your favorite liners and save big. Experience the reduced weight and enhanced dynamic response the Meta family is known for, and the comfort and security you trust from your favorite Willowwood Alpha liners. Act fast. Take advantage of this promotion until June 28th, right here at SPS. Foot and liners must be on same PO to qualify for this promotion.
In our latest episode of the Clinical Minute, Senior Clinical Education Specialist Liz Hillen introduces the Sport Elite Combo Rehabilitator by OCSI Guardian Brace. Learn more about this unique clinical solution for lower limb weakness by following the link in our show notes.
Hello, listeners. I'm excited to welcome today's guest, Cara Negri. Cara serves as Gainesville Prosthetics Practice Manager, Lead Prosthetist, and Residency Director. If that's not enough, Cara also serves as the Director of P&O Data Solutions, which helps clinicians document, collaborate, and justify clinical decisions. Welcome, Cara.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Absolutely. We're going to have some fun today. So again, thank you for joining us to chat about video observational gait analysis. But before we do that, let's learn a little bit about yourself. Could you share a little bit about how you got your start in O&P?
Sure. I actually read a book when I was in 4th grade about a girl with an amputation, and I checked it out so many times that year. The librarian gave it to me at the end of the year. I was the only person who had ever checked it out, and I checked it out like 5 or 6 times. So I don't think I knew that it was a career at that time, but it definitely still ended up calling me. Ended up going to a Women in Sports Leadership Conference and saw a woman called Bonnie St. John. She was a Paralympic skier. I saw and met her and bought her book, got her autograph. And I actually started in high school volunteering at a prosthetics clinic in Michigan.
Oh, that's awesome. Shout out to your librarian. I mean, I hope she didn't get in trouble for giving away a book, but that's a pretty neat story.
Yeah, I still have the book too.
Very cool.
I think you're doing your fair share of the similar things getting people into O&P, because every time I'm in there, there's someone from high school or college that has no idea about the industry, just checking it out and seeing what it's all about, seeing if they want to go into it.
Yeah, I do find joy in like spreading the word about our profession and showing people how cool of a profession I think it is and how rewarding it can be. And so anytime anybody wants to come in, I welcome them to come and observe. And if they want to intern, I don't turn people down. I make sure that if they have the desire to learn about what we do, then they're welcome in my clinic.
All right, so video observational gait analysis. Could you describe what that is and what kind of sparked your interest in specializing and kind of leading the path in this area?
So video observational gait analysis is specifically using video to observe what we are typically doing in our daily practice. So everybody in our practice is, looking at how a person is walking or moving, I should say, because it could be an upper extremity person with a limb deficiency, and how are they moving? And what I started to use video for was to show others what I was seeing. So when I am seeing, because I've been in this profession now for 25 years, so it's very natural for me to be able to see something and then know what I need to do. But when I'm teaching others, or if I'm trying to show someone else why I'm making a clinical decision, then I like to use video to slow it down and to, put some more, suggestions onto the video. I started using video when I did some work with OSER with the power knee. So I would, and even the Rio knee, I should say, because I was trying to show the engineers what I was seeing out in the field, as far as how the knee was functioning, and then get feedback about, how we could better educate others. And I actually used to take my video cameras with me, like the camcorders, that had like tapes, and I had to actually connect them with wires and everything. I had so much equipment. And then, I mean, it was just such a process to like upload it to an FTP site. I mean, I feel very old saying all of this, but I just found video to be able to communicate what I was seeing. And so I started to use apps and other things, like a golf swing app that helped me draw angles on things. And it just became a way for me to show patients also what I was seeing. So if I was trying to describe to a patient, specifically like with the power knee, of like how to go up the stairs, we would look at how the patient was going up the stairs, and we'd compare it to the exemplar patient who could go up the stairs super easily. We would see like, okay, well, how far is he bringing his thigh section, and how does that compare to you? When I worked in Australia, I came across a company called Silicon Coach, and they make video analysis tools, motion analysis tools for athletes, and for they used to make a bike fitting software for specialized bikes. So I took that bike fitting software and I kind of looked to see how I could use that. They did have a clinical gait analysis or movement analysis application as well. So I started using that to show other clinicians how I was making adjustments to a prosthesis based off of what I saw. And I could actually draw angles onto the video, and that helped me to really communicate my clinical decision making. So my light bulb moment with video observational gait analysis was, well, first of all, there's also gait scores that exist out there. So Rancho has had a gait score for a long time. The literature actually really shows that the Edinburgh Visual Gait Score and then the prosthetic observational gait score are the most reliable tools. So when I had a light bulb moment was because I had a patient that wanted to pay out of pocket for a microprocessor knee, and I did not want to just use my opinion about what I thought that I saw in the way that he walked between his previous prosthesis and this microprocessor knee. So I took video and I used the video gait analysis software and ended up creating a report based off of the prosthetic observational gait score. And I showed that he was able to reduce his gait deviations by 5 gait deviations. And so I gave him this report and I said, so I think that this is, beneficial to you for these reasons. These are the gait deviations that you do not have when you have a microprocessor knee. And he ended up taking that report and used it to actually get funding. So in Australia, he used that report to get some funding. This was kind of my moment that said, this is evidence-based practice. This is what we can use to actually measure the quality of someone's gait and then measure our interventions, how we are actually helping the person walk better. And it gives a report that uses just screenshots. So you don't actually have to try to submit the video to the payer. You're using the report with the screenshots and the angle measurement tools on the screenshots.
I mean, this all sounds so amazing, and kudos to you, because it kind of seems like a revolution that may be coming in the future using this, and you're a pioneer on it. And I mean, I equate it to you already said, your involvement in women's sports and then with athletes and the software for bikes. Video has become such an important part in sports. You cannot succeed if you're not reviewing tape of, what you're doing, what the other team is doing, taking everything in and studying it. And it sounds like this is just like such a useful tool to study everything going on in a snapshot in time that, you may forget at a later time. So I think it's awesome. With that being said, like, what are the benefits of using VOGA in practice for somebody that may be interested and they just want to know specific benefits of what can I get out of this?
Yeah. So one of the main ways that I use it today in practice is one of my first measurement tools that I use is looking at the step length differences. So that is a quick and easy way I use the measurement tools in P&O data. Or actually, O&P has Strider, and it's the same tool, but it's embedded into O&P software now. So I basically just can quickly take a video and I can measure the difference between their step lengths. And I can say, and that's within a minute, you are taking a 54% bigger step, on the sound side than you are on your affected side. So then we start to have a discussion, because what that does is if there's an asymmetry in how the step lengths are, then I then go back and start to look at where is that coming from? Is it coming from the hip? Is it coming from the knee? And then what can I do about it? So those are the really quick and practical tools, because I know, as clinicians, we are just overrun with all the things we have to do. What is something quick that we can do to show that we have affected someone's mobility? And if we can make them more symmetrical, we can show that we've done something. I have submitted it for insurance claims, and then I also use it as a marketing tool. It's a great tool to say to my referral sources, this is how I have affected the patient's mobility that you referred to me. And they really appreciate that. I also use it as a way to communicate with my PTs. So, hey, so-and-so came in to me today and this is their report. They are getting better, but can you work on, strengthening their gluteus medius at your session today? It's a bit of an interdisciplinary care tool as well.
Are there any barriers for a clinician to utilize this kind of video software?
Yeah, I work with people all the time, because it can be, we all have things that we want to do, but at the end of the day, we might only have an hour with a patient. So we have to choose wisely what we're going to do. We all use video to look back and see how someone is doing. But if you can store it in a HIPAA compliant way, that's probably most beneficial. So that would be, I think, a lot of the barriers that I originally heard about, like, well, I can't use video, because it's not HIPAA compliant, or, I'd have to get like release forms, like get the release form, like make it part of your patient practice. And I suggest to people that you say to the patients, and you have them sign the release form that says, I'm going to use this for interdisciplinary communication, for your insurance claim, and for diagnosing and looking at what gait deviations you might have. So it's not they know that you're not going to use it on social media without their consent in that form. The barrier is that it can be overwhelming to start to collect video on everybody. What we do, we've really made it a part of our practice that when someone comes to us, like let's say they are coming to us from a different provider, before we do anything, we take a video of how they're walking, and just take the video. Don't feel like you have to analyze it, and don't feel like you have to create a report with it or do anything with it. Create a system for collecting the video and storing it in a way that is going to be easy for you to get in the future. Because you can use video for your appeal and make a report from it up to 7 years in the future. There's been studies done on video that was collected years ago. So it doesn't have to be that you're going to use it right now, but if you don't have it, that moment is gone and you'll never have it again. How many times have you made somebody more comfortable when they come to you, and then all of a sudden you're like, shoot, now I don't have a way to show them even the difference between how they came in and how they're leaving today. We just tried to make it a practice to take that video right away. The barriers really can be is like the tools can, if you use any of the tools, they can be overwhelming. So I work with tons of students. I used to teach gait and biomechanics. I tell people just circle something or point to something and then describe what you're seeing. Just start really, really simple like that. And you could use that. You could use your iPhone for that these days, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of us, people my age, ask the younger kids or even our own children to change the time on our ovens and stuff, and I was wondering if that's a barrier in maybe the older generation within our industry, or do you see everybody adopting this or a small demographic?
I would definitely say that the younger generations are embracing it a lot more because I mean, even like if you use like a scanner on your phone, they just like can hold that phone so much easier than we can. They were like born with it in their hands. So they definitely embrace it, and they're much faster at hurrying up and collecting a video. So telling them to take a tripod out of the closet and put it up is no big deal. I challenge, the older generation to not give up and oh, the other, thing, if people start taking video, is don't pan the video. So like you want to hold your phone stationary. Actually, Fatoni and Stein did a great study on collecting good two-dimensional video analysis. If you're looking for the best practices of how to use video, there's a study on it. And you like that's one of the biggest things that I think I see the older generation wanting to do is follow the patient with the phone, and you really just want to keep your phone still and have the patient go past your phone, because that's going to give you really good information, and be able to actually measure something on the screen.
Great tip. Very cool. So in your experience, what are the ways clinicians can use VOGA to get, I would say, the most out of the analysis?
Start simple and don't, like I said, overwhelm yourself as far as how you're going to do it. So if you want to, start with a patient population, so let's say you're going to look at all of your pediatric AFOs, that might be a big population for some clinics. So maybe not all of your pediatric AFOs, maybe you actually start with a certain diagnosis and you build from there. And again, start collecting the video, and then the more and more you collect video, then the more curious you're going to get, and you're going to want to start analyzing it. My suggestion would be to, yes, have a specific plan of how you're going to approach it and who's going to take the video, how's it going to be stored, how are you going to name the files. It's super easy to just like put the patient number in and then put pre, as in like before you saw them, and then which view, so coronal or sagittal, just so that you can quickly have a search for the videos if you're keeping them in like a shared file somewhere.
We kind of touched on this a bit earlier, but technology kind of continues to advance, as with everything, especially in cameras. And like you were saying, it's come a long way since the VHS days. But could you talk a little bit about like how it was in the early days and what you're kind of excited for in the future, whether that's cameras, technology, AI, even anything like that?
Yeah, I had the honor of going to Jacqueline Perry's memorial, and I took a picture because they were playing some slides of her, like while she was working. She wrote, in my opinion, the Bible on gait analysis. They had a picture there of her with like a big, huge monitor, and she actually had her goniometer with a video actually measuring someone's knee angle on a video. That is like where we started, right? It's been a part of practice, like it's part of where the research even came from, I think, on normal joint angles during gait. And obviously, like that probably took hours and hours to process. I will say that I've had also the opportunity to do several like gait studies in a motion analysis lab with Vicon systems, and putting markers on is something that you can do if you want to. But the research really shows that if you are a clinician, you can use an on-screen goniometer and be very reliable with using it. So you don't need to put markers on. It's a big question I always get, because sometimes if you put markers on, if you've ever done this, and they can move and then you're not reliable anyways. Just know that if you're using like any type of measurement tools, you're actually pretty good at it if you're a trained clinician. And then, so as far as like the future, I know that there's some projects out there of like being able to even assess gait automatically. I think that it's important to have numbers associated with things, but I personally still also want to see the video. I want the video to be with the numbers. AI is just going to be able to help us to create, I think, treatment plans faster and quicker in the future. So let's say we put in our gait analysis that someone has limited dorsiflexion in late stance, their guy is going to be able to spit out some possible like opportunities for us to treat that or to give us an answer. And again, we're not going to rely on it 100%, but if it can help us save time and create more efficient workflows, I think that that's the future. And I'm sure a lot of us are embracing AI as best as we can, but knowing that like you're still liable for anything that you use as far as AI goes. I like to say that it helps you create your rough draft. If you have a hard time getting started, so let's say you don't know what to think about this video, if you watch somebody walk and you see that they're having, let's say they're landing on their, just with their foot flat, put that into Chat GPT and see what the possibilities are that it could be for why that's happening, and review it and check it and see if you agree with it. If you're having a hard time like getting to, well, what do I do with this information? I always like to tell people just see what it tells you, because half the time it's the getting started is the hard part. But if you get something rolling, then you'll go with it and you'll be able to correct it and say, okay, well, I don't actually agree with that, but let the plantar flexors are weak thread and see if I agree with that.
Well, so you mentioned taking videos as kind of a at the beginning. How often are you doing follow-up videos? I mean, I know that everybody is really pushing for evidence-based and for outcomes and measures to look back. And I'm sure this can tell you a complete story if you had multiple versions throughout a patient's cycle with you. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I take one, like I said, and then I take one for every single delivery as well.
Okay, every single one. Great.
If anybody wanted to say that I didn't deliver something, I could use that video to point at what I was delivering. But then also I do want to show that I have made some type of improvement in this person's mobility from when I first started working with them to when I actually delivered a prosthesis. And then what I also do is for my residents, I actually have them take video during their dynamic alignment. And let's say they're at a place where they think they're good to go. I have them review the video and I have them tell me what they think they could have done better. And they learn so much from that, because instead of me coming in and I have a hard time, just not like taking over and fixing everything that I see, I have them take the video and I say, okay, just spend like 5 minutes looking at that video and seeing if there's something that you think you could do better next time, or an alignment change that you want to use now. We also use it for our geriatric patients that have a hard time like making even 1 or 2 passes in the parallel bars. If we take video, we can make a bunch of changes all at once and we don't have to exhaust the patient too much.
Have you ever had a bad day and then woke up in the middle of the night and said, oh, I got to go back and look at this video and then use it to figure out what you did maybe incorrectly or something like that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I am all in favor of, finding my own opportunities for improvement. And I like to say opportunities for improvement. If any of the residency directors are out there, whenever you have to write weaknesses, I always change it to opportunities for improvement, because I think that anything that you can identify that you could do better at is just an opportunity.
Absolutely. And even the best make mistakes at some point, and then having the video to go back and find out exactly where you made us, maybe even it's just the smallest. And I don't even want to say a mistake. Maybe you just missed something. That's really cool. And I think this is really awesome.
Even during some of those appointments that are frustrating, sometimes I will leave the appointment with, I don't know if we're getting too much further today. You've been here for a while. We're kind of exhausting and going around in circles. I'm going to review this video before your next appointment, and we're going to see if I can come up with some other ideas of what we could do to improve next time. Yeah. Because I think that there's like an exhaustion that happens and you just stop seeing what you could improve because you've been going around in circles for a little bit too long.
Yeah. Oh, this is really cool. I mean, there's just so much crossover between sports and sharpening your skills and, self-betterment, but also the additional benefits that you're providing to the interdisciplinary course of action through a patient's journey. I mean, it seems like it really connects the dots. Thank you for joining us today. This is really cool. If there's something we didn't touch on, you kind of just have a free moment to talk about whatever you'd like.
I mean, Piano Data has a YouTube channel. So, and like I said, you don't have to use the software that I use. You can, there's some even freely available softwares out there. There's golf swing apps still out there that you can use. But I will just, challenge everybody that our practice is all about movement, and we really should be trying to figure out a way to use it for our documentation instead of saying it in words. Let's try to figure out how we can put it into our documentation that says this is the movement that we see and this is the movement that we're going to work on and how we can improve it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
To learn more about video observational gait analysis, Gainesville Prosthetics, or to connect with Cara on LinkedIn, follow the link in our show notes.
Thank you for listening to the O&P Check-in, an SPS podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, be sure to leave a review and subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Have a question or topic suggestion? Email us at spspodcast@spsco.com. See you next time.